12 seconds of opening credits. The first thing this video does is try to tell me the events of the first installment take place on Saturday, March 3rd, 2018. However, the original was actually released on March 2nd, meaning we as the audience somehow got to see events before they actually supposedly happened. Also, not writing the "erd" in third correctly. Also, reading! Video spends 41 seconds of its 11-minute runtime simply copying and pasting part of the original installment. Advertising.
You killed my great-grandpa.
Video tries to cue me in on the events of the first installment without any context. Also, if we look at the original video, the trash can actually lands on the east side of the front yard when hit by the DeLorean, not the west. Yet when they return to this timeline, it's suddenly on the west side of the yard. Also, the implication here is they are arriving shortly after they left, meaning this guy was either in the trash can when it got hit by the DeLorean the first time around, and he's somehow completely okay, or he arrived right after they left, moved the trash can for reasons that are ambiguous, and then waited until the right moment to appear because something, dramatic timing, yada yada. Either way, it's a sin. Also, how in the hell did he figure out who Marty was and how to track him down and manage to arrive at the exact moment the plot needed him to? He claims to be a descendant of one of the guys killed by Marty in part 1. However, no one was around to witness the killings, and even if someone did witness from a distance, the idea that they got the very minimal information of some random kid in a car killing these two goons to the next of kin, and it was somehow passed down generation to generation, and they somehow found out who Marty was, what time he was from, and where he lived and when to appear to take revenge is so far out there that calling it absurd would do a disservice to the word absurd. Also, he knows his great-grandpa died from a gunshot, yet in the 21st century he went to confront a gun-owning killer with a knife. Alright, I'm not immune to comedic gold. Take your sin off. You're gonna need all the help you can get on the sin counter anyway. More reading. Video tries to tell me Marty aged 6 years in 6 days. Marty checks his watch when in reality he is not actually wearing a watch. Also checking your watch cliche.
The new place is kind of far.
Marty speaks of being in a new house. This video unconvincingly tries to tell me Marty and family packed up and moved to a completely different house and have portions of their garage already settled in within 6 days. Marty gives up on Doc coming to pick him up, but instead of walking back towards his house, he chooses to walk away from his house. No one will be seated during the Doc acts out of character and abandons Marty scene. Also, this scene is supposed to take place on April 9th, 2018, yet Marty's phone says the day is August 4th, 2024. Also, video tries to tell me that Doc has been ignoring and or responding to Marty for over a month, yet looking at this string of text messages tells me Marty has either only been trying to reach Doc for the last day and has been spam texting him, or Marty has been abandoned by Doc for the last month and Marty has either been consistently spam texting him or decided the day before this one to spam text him. Either way, it's a sin, and to be quite frank, I would abandon Marty too if he was really this needy. Also, jump cut. We see this dimension is called DEI, which is an acronym for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and we see in just a couple moments that this dimension is actually an all-female remake of the Back to the Future movie. I love little details like that. Go ahead, you rotten piece of cinema, take your sin off. However, in saying that, we simultaneously have the entire nature of the Back to the Future world upended to reveal it is not just about traveling through time, but also multiverses, which completely uproots the fun and basic yet grounded lore set up by the actual Back to the Future trilogy. Also, video abandons the plot we've been following for the last 2 minutes of this video and the entirety of the first installment to skip to another dimension because reasons. Also, more reading. Video misses the opportunity to reference the real Back to the Future by not filming in front of JCPenney. Also, this futuristic reboot timeline of Back to the Future that takes place 3 years after the actual Back to the Future Part 2 future timeline of 2015 misses yet again another opportunity, this time to have Martha roll in on a hoverboard. Discount DeLorean. Looks like someone made a tiny oopsie and forgot to edit out the special effects guy who just happens to be literally right in front of the camera.
The one I've been waiting for all my life!
The way I described my college girlfriend somehow makes its way into the video. This scene takes place around April 2018, yet the paper Doc is holding clearly says 2019 on it.
It's a DeLorean.
Video insults my intelligence by expecting me to believe a blue Dodge Avenger has any sort of resemblance to a DeLorean.
Alright. Fine, we gotta record. Where's my big spare? Okay.
Bad audio. I also need to sin the fact that this scene does not contain a lap dance from female Doc.
It's 1985.
Scene, which supposedly takes place in 2018, yet has Doc holding a paper that says 2019, now tries to tell me it's actually taking place in 1985, even though the first Dodge Avenger actually came on the market in 1994. This timeline nonsense is so all over the place, it's borderline nauseating. So I'm adding 20 sins and we're calling it a day.
And, we're gonna send Einstein back 39 years.
He won't. She won't. They won't.
Perfect, come over here. Okay. You ready?
Once again, bad audio. I'll just top it off with 50 sins for all poor audio throughout this video and move on. Hopefully at least there'll be no bad tripod audio.
You see, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious.
Doc says some quote-unquote serious will happen at 88 miles per hour, yet it appears the DeLorean starts to take off at about 8.8 miles per hour. Also, Doc tells us Einstein is in the vehicle, yet instead we see some random asshole driving the car with a random asshole passenger, and no dog can be seen. Reading! Also, we are now 3 minutes and 57 seconds into the video, and we have jumped into 3 different time periods and are now entering our 3rd dimension, because reasons. Also, the last screen card with a dimension had a number, hyphen, and 3 letters, whereas this one has a letter, no hyphen, and 3 numbers. We get you're trying to parody the Rick and Morty dimension concept, but at least be consistent about it.
Uber for Claude?
Naming your child Claude.
Hey, what took you so long?
This poor delivery. Also, this guy doesn't really put much effort into trying to avoid being hit by a car. I wonder if he took inspiration from the Prometheus school of running away from things. Also, if you watch closely, you'll see what actually happens is this guy, who per the credits is named none other than one Tad Reed, sees the car approaching, walks into the car's path, and gets hit, and simultaneously you'll see how the car slows down to make sure it hits the target, but not fast enough so no one gets hurt. I didn't know quality filmmaking was this easy.
You just hit that guy. It happens all the time.
Comments that resemble real-world criticism of my driving somehow make their way into the video. Also, video skips over the far more interesting story of the Uber driver constantly doing hit and runs and somehow outrunning the law.
That's illegal. You just did a hit and run.
Claude tries to make a point about the legality of a hit and run when he himself is choosing to ignore the legality of not wearing a seatbelt. Also, the fact that Claude cares more about the legality of a hit and run as opposed to the well-being of Mr. Reed really says a lot about the morality of this character and where his priorities really lie.
There's probably witnesses everywhere.
There was not. Also, I'm going to have to side with the Uber driver here on this one and take a stand against Mr. Claude. We see here that for several moments the Uber driver is driving on the left side of the road, and Claude has done absolutely nothing to try to stop it or call out the poor driving, making me absolutely care not at all that this poor lad got mixed up in this shenanigans.
We can go to time places too.
Did he just say we can go to time places too?
We're gonna go back and work about 5 minutes from now.
Driver says they're going back 5 minutes from now, which, by the way he words that, seems to imply they're going into the future and not the past. Also, the Uber driver plans to fix his mistake of almost killing someone by going back in time to somehow fix it, which is writer's code for time travel deus ex machina. Also, let's talk about the Uber driver's actual plan. His goal is to go back in time 5 minutes from now and do what? Stop himself from hitting the guy? Don't Back to the Future rules establish that could cause a paradox and possibly collapse the universe? Or are we playing by Rick and Morty rules now, or the rules of another time-traveling franchise, where you could see your future past self and have no repercussions? If you asked me 5 minutes ago, the answer would be obvious, but now that we've uprooted the nature of Back to the Future's lore, I genuinely don't know what rules we're playing by, causing me to lack believability in the plot this video is trying to sell me. I am so confused! Also, can we not have a different plot for a Back to the Future themed video for once? Each installment in the actual Back to the Future trilogy can be summed up with using yada yada time travel to go back and yada yada save the day. The first installment in the 00 Studios Back to the Future videos did that as well, and now we are seeing it play out again in this one. Do something new, you dicks.
Just wait until we hit 88 miles per hour.
Driver says they'll time travel at 88 miles per hour, yet they time travel at a speed nowhere close to 88 miles per hour. As we can see, Claude was not given the warning of keeping your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times, a decision which I am absolutely sure will have horrible and unspeakable consequences when traveling through time. We now established that not only can the DeLoreans travel through time in alternate dimensions, but somehow when they travel through time they don't automatically arrive in the exact same place they were just a different time, but that they can also move to a different physical location, which in this case just happens to be a few hundred feet away and right where the plot conveniently needs them to be.
We got here about 5 minutes before. It's rather close to that trash can than he was earlier. Anyway.
This awful line and awful delivery. Also, considering the fact that they went back in time about 4 minutes, give or take, from when Mr. Tad Reed was hit by the car, he is absolutely not a 4-minute walk from where he was when he was hit. If anything, he's merely a literal hop, skip, and a jump away. Meaning either he decided to take a break, it just so happened to be unlucky enough to resume his walk right as the Uber driver struck him, or he walked slower than molasses, in which case it's somewhat his own fault that he was hit by the car, and the fact that the video even led me down this rabbit hole of thought in the first place is a sin worth sinning. Once again, we cut to black right as the subplot of the dimension we're following starts to pick up, because reasons. I mean plot. I mean writing convenience. Also, more motherfucking reading. Also, we are now halfway through this video's runtime and once again cutting to another dimension. We've already been to 3 dimensions by this point in the video, as well as spent a minute recapping the end of the first installment, and as of yet, none of these plots have any sort of ounce of connection to one another. Dare I ask what the overall plot of this video actually even is? Also, I'm sinning the shit out of this poor grammar. The proper place for the ellipses would be at the end of this sentence, putting it where it currently is, has it pronounced suddenly. Back in dimension 3-DEI. The word suddenly should never be followed by an ellipses. Silly editor. Video uses sound effects to imply that the stuff I'd actually like to see happened off screen, only adding to my infuriation. Doc Edmunda Brown has a different haircut in this scene, even though this is supposed to be a mere minutes after we last saw her. Him? Them? Also, this is supposed to be the same location we were just at when we last saw Doc and Martha, yet it is clearly not. Also, we're at an entirely new filming location, yet we again missed the opportunity to have a JCPenney.
What's up, bitch?
This video has now put Back to the Future in the same existence as Rick and Morty. I'm okay with that, and I'm not okay with that. Also, Rick and Morty show up not through a portal or with Rick's flying saucer, but with a discount DeLorean that's already even more discount than the already discount DeLorean we've previously seen in this video. Also, the quote-unquote DeLorean they are driving appears to either be missing a headlight, which is illegal and therefore a sin, or they're choosing to simply have one headlight turned on during the day for the mere pleasure of doing so, which is wasteful and therefore also a sin.
Edmund?
The female Doc Brown from the all-female remake timeline of Back to the Future, who's just barely testing out time travel for the first time, also happens to not only be aware of the multiverse of dimensions, but also the fact that there are alternative timelines of her life out there, where she happens to be a dude who lives the exact same life but is a man named Edmund. Video titled Back to the Future Part 2 is now 56% of the way through its runtime, and instead of giving me Doc Brown and Marty on screen together, it instead separates the two and then gives me the exact same actors as Rick and Morty instead.
Martha?
Female Doc, who has just established she is aware of the multiverse and knows who Doc Edmund Brown is, somehow mistakes Morty for Martha even though he is clearly not a female.
Oh, I've heard of you too. What do you losers want?
And skip! Oh, there's the JCPenney.
Let's just cut to the chase, because I don't want to be here either.
The Rick actor's real-world thoughts somehow make it into the script.
A friend of mine from Dimension A132 got arrested for a hit and run. He called in a favor and asked if I could bust him out.
Exposition.
He's insisting to have a little bit of diversity, and wanted a female Rick as well.
Oh.
Morty, quiet! This is why I don't bring you anywhere.
Rick is being an asshole to Morty in this scene and not eating an apple while doing it. And just in case you're wondering if we still would have seen this had Rick been eating an apple, we absolutely would have.
You can't even speak without sounding like a wimp.
Rick would be excellent at cinema sins.
Basically, he hit a guy with his DeLorean and tried to go back in time to fix it. But all he did was mess up the entire timeline, and now he's in jail.
Oh! Also, more exposition. Also, instead of letting we, the audience, see these events play out on screen, the filmmakers choose to do what any solid filmmaker does and tell, not show, by literally cutting to mother black and then telling us what happened in the next scene. Also, this scene does not contain a lap dance from Rick.
Yeah, good luck getting him out of jail.
Well, Morty, we tried. Alright, let's go. We got errands to run.
Wait, what? What? Let's just stop for a moment and talk about the plot of this short film. We spend 2 minutes lollygagging around with Marty, then we spend 2 minutes following Doc and Martha in the female remake of Back to the Future in another dimension, then we cut to a third dimension and follow some random asshole and Claude who get mixed up in a hit and run, all to set up this scene and the idea that those two assholes from the hit and run called in these two Rick and Morty assholes to recruit these two assholes from female Back to the Future to have one prison break scene that weaves all these plots together, and instead female Doc just says, "Nah, I'm good," and so Rick and Morty choose to just hand wave away the entire plot of this video with an "oh well," and that's it? You can't just hand wave away the entire purpose of your video 2/3 into the runtime and expect us to follow along, especially after all the bullshit we've already had to endure. And for that, I'll hand wave away 100 sins from my sin pouch and add them onto the sin counter because we too also like to pad things. Just in our case, we're padding the sin count, not the runtime like in your situation.
You gotta help me, Martha. I don't know. We were here. The building looked a little different.
Oh no. Simply admitting the discrepancy in the locations with a throwaway line doesn't make the problem go away. It would appear the creators were trying to get out of earning a sin for that one, and to that I say, sin away.
And then I just woke up. She was gone.
A line I also once said about my college girlfriend somehow also makes its way into the video.
How did that even happen?
Don't ask me. It's an all-female remake. The plot never makes sense.
Alright. This line's good. You got me. Take your sin off, you blue-headed bastard.
An all-female remake? Great Scott!
Female Doc, who has already established she is aware of the idea of an alternate Back to the Future reality where the main characters are men, now is suddenly confused at this idea of being an all-female remake. Also, I'm sitting the out of this cringy fall.
I'm trading in the DeLorean with some asshat clown.
Implying Doc Brown is stupid enough to trade his discount DeLorean for Rick's even worse discount DeLorean.
That DeLorean, Morty. That DeLorean's a relic. You know what it's gonna do to me, Morty? Do you understand? It's gonna make me filthy rich, Morty! Booze and chicks up to the wazoo!
Alright, I'm taking another sin off. As much as this video does wrong, I think it has a genuinely solid take on the writing and portrayal of Rick, and I gotta give credit where credit is due.
Besides, our car looks like shit anyway.
That's car racist. Also, video seems to forget that the point of entertainment is to provide an escape from reality, and instead uses this moment to remind me about the unfortunate reality of the state of my personal vehicle. These horrible effects. I'm adding 50 sins for the terrible tripod audio.
What the f*** are you supposed to be?
Being surprised by Doc Brown when you already told Marty.
I'm trading in the DeLorean with some asshat clown.
Also looks like the special effects editors forgot to cover the fact that they were inserting an online image of the blue discount DeLorean by forgetting to make the interior windows see-through. Also, video titled Back to the Future Part 2 waits until about 80% of its runtime to show me Doc Brown. Even more reading! Also, time jump.
Where is this Uber already?
Repeating lines you've said earlier in a similar scene, but simply at a different point in time, cliche.
You're going to Birdman's?
Yeah. Please tell me you're not one of them time-traveling whack jobs.
Claude implies he is terrified of traveling with a quote-unquote time-traveling whack job, yet he is taking an Uber to Birdman's, who is an alien, and he has no qualms about that. Unless, of course, he is not referring to the Birdman of the Rick and Morty universe, which is seemingly in a different dimension than this one, might I remind you, but he is actually referring to Birdman's parrots located in Niles, Illinois. In which case, if he is, then that's a sin instead for introducing Rick and Morty into the video and then name-dropping Birdman and not actually meaning the Birdman of the Rick and Morty universe.
Well, look at the time, we gotta go.
Look at the time, we gotta go cliche. This obvious green screen. This even more obvious green screen. To be concluded cliche. After yanking my chain for the last 10 minutes, the video chooses to spend the next several seconds teasing my already in pain blue balls and show me cool stuff I'd actually like to see, only to tell me I need to wait several months to see that after having already waited 6.5 years for a sequel in the first place. Bloopers over the end credits cliche.
Jailbird Joy.
You killed my great-grandpa.
I don't even know who you are.
Alright, call me back if you get a chance. I'm still waiting for the Titanic.
It's been 84 years.
It's a DeLorean.
Yeah, no Sherlock.
All right. Fine. Gotta record. Where's my big spare? Okay. Ready?
English, mother. Do you speak it?
Now, watch this.
Bloop, bloppity bloop.
This is the time machine. This car. We can go to time places too.
There's no way this is a time machine.
Not just wrong, you're stupid. And you're ugly, just like your mum.
We're gonna go back. And we're about 5 minutes from now. We're gonna fix this.
Are you seriously telling me that your plan to save the universe is based on Back to the Future?
Martha?
Why did you say that name?
Don't ask me, it's an all-female remake. The plot never makes sense.
Oh, jeez, Rick, I was liking the DeLorean. I don't want to get rid of it.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. If you liked the video, comment down below and hit that like button. Oh, and check out some of my other videos. I'm sure you'll find them a delight.